Zadie. Welcome to Flytte Kartina, my YouTube channel. Today we have a segment that is dedicated to how the reel rolls, which is where I basically analyze a movie or a movie concept. Today we're going to be talking about blind casting. First of all, hello to everybody who may be new to my channel. I get new viewers every day, and if you're new, go ahead and comment down below. Just say hi. That lets me know that you're there. Unfortunately, YouTube does not allow me to see who views my videos all the time. If you're here and you're new, let me know in the comments down below. Just a brief rundown of my channel. I'm a movie reviewer, so I talk about movies and movies that are coming out, movies that you may not have seen, movies that I may not have seen, and trailer thoughts and analysis. Those are just a few of the things that I like to do on this channel, and if you like what you heard, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Alright, so let's get started about blind casting. First of all, what is blind casting? So the process of blind casting is a little bit different for everything. I was looking for a definition, and Wikipedia has a definition for blind casting, meaning casting without considering the actor's ethnicity, skin color, body shape, sex, and/or gender. And today's video is dedicated to why blind casting does work. There are a lot of arguments for why it does not work and why it shouldn't be a thing, but today's argument is going to be for blind casting. So the most common form of blind casting is in terms of color, meaning the color of somebody's skin tone or their ethnicity. And that is what's known as specifically color blind casting, but people just call it blind casting because it's easier to say. So for instance, if there's a movie that follows a horse rider and her family, the horse rider could be, if they did blind casting, the horse rider could be any ethnicity, any race, and their parents could be any ethnicity or any race. So that's kind of how things work. So I have a few examples of why it does work, and examples in modern and classic situations, media, movies, where it does work. So the best example that I can think of, and the one that has recently been released on streaming, is Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, which came out in 1997. Now, this movie did come out in 1997, so it's after the 60s, after the 70s, but before the 2010s. It's a little bit of a wonky time to be doing something, but that's the best example, and it actually really worked very well. I remember watching this movie not when it first came out, but like somewhere around there. And I really enjoyed it as a kid. Like, I didn't even see the thing of race. Let's go into the deeper parts of this. The most common representation of Cinderella is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Caucasian female. There are other variations of that, but that's the most common version of him. When I say Cinderella, that's mostly what all of us think is the Disney version of Cinderella, where she's the animated Disney version. Blonde hair, beautiful blue eyes, and very pale skin. The reason why she looks that way in all of our minds is because Cinderella, the story, the most popular version of it, disregarding the ancient versions, but the most popular version of literature that includes the story of Cinderella was in the late 1600s, and it was popularized by a French writer. So, French, blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin, that sort of thing. The correlation is very reasonable, right? And so in the Cinderella from 1997, they decided to do a blind casting audition. They didn't cast according to race. So the actress Brandy, she's an amazing actress, she's a fantastic singer. Brandy Cinderella is a young African-American woman with dark brown eyes and beautiful long brown braids. And that's completely different than anything that anyone has ever seen in Cinderella. So instead of letting looks determine the cast, they let talent determine the cast. So one example from the Cinderella movie from Rodgers and Hammerstein is Whoopi Goldberg, a African-American black woman, and Victor Garber, a Caucasian male, creating the Prince Charming, or Prince Chris as he's named in the story, as Paulo Montalban, who is a Filipino man. A little bit of a weird thing going on there, but as a child, when I remember watching it, I didn't really see the problem with it. I was like, yeah, if they say that he's their son, then that's fine. And my brain just automatically fixed the difference. And Whoopi Goldberg, her talent is in comedy. She does fantastic in this. Her acting and her pace and comedic timing is so funny. Victor Garber plays a wonderful husband to her, and Paulo has the most amazing voice ever. And when I was a kid, I didn't care. Kids don't really care about cast members looking similar and saying that they're family members. I don't think kids it really doesn't matter. And so that's the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella that came out in 1997. That's a great example. That's probably one of the best examples that I can think of for colorblind casting, because all of the cast, regardless of race, were cast for their talent, and not for how similar they look. And it's a wonderful story. It's probably one of my favorite versions of Cinderella that exists in media today. So moving on from Cinderella as the best example, here's a couple of modern examples, and you probably know where I'm going with this, but Hamilton. It started in 2015 and then the movie came out in 2020, so this is an entire POC cast. This wasn't a more intentionally POC cast than Cinderella, because of the music style and the sort of ambiance and environment that Lin-Manuel Miranda wanted to create. And it's a little bit of a looser casting because that's kind of the nature of Broadway. Not for a lot of main Broadway cast, but for like stunt casting. A lot of the times they're different ethnicities. Say for instance, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I'm pretty sure one of the characters is an African-American younger girl when she's originally not written that way, but it works. Nobody bats an eye at that because her talent just surpasses the idea of people are supposed to look like to us. Another example would be in The Little Mermaid. This might be a little bit of a stretch, but The Little Mermaid came out in 1989 and it features a English butler, a Caribbean lobster, and an American prince. So I don't really know where this is supposed to be set in, but how it worked. Like, if you think about it, The Little Mermaid, where are they? You don't know, but he's a prince. Like, what? And another modern example that I didn't mention is Bridgerton, which came out late 2020, early 2021. I'm pretty sure it was in January. It's not a super strong case of blind casting because it was kind of intentional, and then also the world that they were building, it's a fictional universe. It's more of a alternate world of Victorian / Edwardian era where African-American, or not African-American, but like black women and men could be royalty and duchesses and rich and own property and not be slaves like everybody else had in the Victorian Edwardian era. So what is the point of all of this? Why did I just tell you about like 5 different examples of blind casting that actually worked? Well, my argument is that it works because you showcase the talent rather than what they look like. So for example, in Cinderella, they all brought their own talent to the show. Whoopi Goldberg brought her comedy, Brandy and Paulo brought their musicality and their music talents. Victor Garber brought whatever Victor Garber brings on every production that he's on, but just a sense of regalness. All of these different things in Cinderella that happen, and it's because of their talent, and it was based on that, and that was their merit. Same thing in Hamilton. They cast people based on their talent. It's because of the style of music that they were going for. Not a lot of Caucasian people can rap as fast as Daveed Diggs in Hamilton, but the talent is what is showcased rather than what they look like. And that's the purpose of blind casting, is to base your blind casting on talent rather than look. So say for instance, a role was originally written for a Caucasian male, and this guy comes along and he is very, very Hispanic. Like, he looks it, he sounds it, and like he acts like it. And so they just adjust the role to fit the style of this person because this person is so talented. I don't know if that actually happens, but like, it could happen. And here's the danger with blind casting, and don't go around saying blind casting is fantastic, because sometimes it's not. A lot of the times when people blind cast certain parts, it's meant to appease a certain audience, and most of it is politically gained. There's a political purpose in it to showcase equality rather than showcase talent. You don't have to cast somebody because they're African American just because they're African American and they don't have any talent. Like, that happens a lot of the time in Hollywood as well. Well, you get somebody who is very popular, maybe a popular singer, and you get them to act in your horror film, but it doesn't translate because they're not an actor primarily. They're primarily a vocalist or an artist. And so rather than showcasing talent, you're actually showcasing equality and trying to appease an audience just by having this popular African American or Hispanic or whatever be in your movie. There's a very fine line when it comes to ethnicity and blind casting and all of the things that I've just mentioned, but what I will say is that Cinderella did it the best. They showcased the talent. I wasn't there for the marketing plan. I don't know what the marketing looked like for it. I don't know if they marketed it like, oh my gosh, it's an amazing diverse cast full of POC and all of these different roles, and like, that's political gain, rather than here's a movie that we made and look at who's in it. These fantastically talented people who just happen to be African American or a POC or Caucasian. And it works better with neutral roles, but that's another conversation for another time. What I'm saying is that you need a creative purpose so that it doesn't it's not just a political plug trying to appease a certain type of audience or win an award. I hope that makes sense, because that's kind of what I think about blind casting and why I think it works. It's just the danger of it. It's very easy to tip the scales and go off into the wrong end of blind casting. But that's a video for another time. Let me know if you guys want a part 2 to this on the dangers of blind casting. Let me know in the comments down below. Are there any examples that I missed from other blind cast roles that you think were amazing and based on talent alone rather than a political purpose? Let me know if I missed anything. If you guys like what you heard in this video, go ahead and give it a like. It helps out my channel. If you really like what I'm saying and want to see more, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell notification so that you're one of the first people to know when I upload a new video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great random Thursday, and I will see you on the other side of the screen.